Hey, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to review one of the new launches from the house of Afnan. I'm a little late onto this particular video, but I think it's still a good time to review this particular fragrance and let you know what are my thoughts, because this particular fragrance is kind of thought about as a blend between Baccarat Rouge and Creed Aventus. Some people say it's a Qaid Al Farsan and so forth. So there are many takes, but we definitely can talk to you about this particular fragrance and tell you what it is and what it is not, and should you consider getting this particular fragrance. Now, you must have seen in my thumbnail, and it's a compliment magnet, and definitely yes, it is one. And today we're going to talk to you about a new release from the house of Afnan. This is the 9 PM Rebel. Okay, we're going to talk about this particular fragrance, and I'll tell you what are my thoughts and what are my views and why this could be a great summer fragrance this particular year. All about it in this particular video. If you haven't subscribed already, please do it, because you will get plenty of upcoming new fragrance reviews on this particular channel. If you haven't done it, do it already and give me a like button if you like the type of content that I bring. You're watching The Perfume Experience. My name is Rodney. Let's get going right after this intro. Alright, welcome back, and today, like I said, we're going to talk to you about this. This is the Afnan 9 PM Rebel. It comes in this beautiful red color bottle. The box is pretty similar to what you've been getting in the other fragrances that are there from the house of Afnan. It's a 100 ml EDP with a 20% concentration. So, but the bottle itself is good. The most important thing about this particular fragrance is the cap. The cap is super heavy. If you were to drop it on a thin glass, you're most likely to break that particular glass. It is that bad. But in terms of the sprayer itself, you will get a really good sprayer. Okay, so you will get a very nice spray and a fragrance that you kind of really enjoy, because if you like fruity fragrances, typically the pineapple DNA of fragrances, then these are fantastic. Now, before we actually get into the DNA, there is an elephant in the room, and that needs to be addressed. That is, today we are living in a world where we think any fragrance that's created with a pineapple note is an inspiration or a fragrance that's derived from Creed Aventus. That's the world that we're living in. Okay, we need to step outside this particular world to understand the fragrance better, because everything is not an inspiration, and there are, while this particular DNA has been used by so many different people, there are a few groundbreaking fragrances, and one of them you can say is Mind Games Blockade, which is again a twist on the way kind of Aventus is, but done with the mango. But otherwise, you will literally find all of the other pineapple fragrances somehow having inspiration from Creed Aventus, or at least that is the way we are looking at all of these fragrances, right? Now, for a minute, step out of that world and come into the world where you think about Afnan's 9 PM Rebel and what you actually kind of smell like, okay, or what do you actually get. Now, when you smell this particular fragrance, first off, you will actually get the most prominent note that you will get is a saffron type of a cotton candy type of a vibe, like a sugar candy type of a vibe. Okay, that is the first note that you will actually experience, and that is the note that a lot of people are talking about, saying it is Baccarat Rouge. Okay, now while Baccarat Rouge actually smells like that all throughout, but in this particular fragrance, that is only the opening note that you get for a few seconds, or maybe about 5-10 minutes, you can say maximum, and then it goes away. Okay, now the fragrance after that gets into a mode where you actually get a pineapple. Okay, and the pineapple is kind of not the most smoothest of pineapple here, because this particular fragrance is mixed with another fruit. Okay, now there is of course going to be a mandarin as well, but you don't actually get a citrusy element here. What you actually get is another fruit that is coming from another fragrance that you might be aware, like French Avenue's Aether. Now, this is a Bazinga, this is a Greenly, Parfums de Marly Greenly Oud, and the dominant note on this particular fragrance has been the green apple, the Granny Smith apple, along with a lot of oak moss. Okay, now the oak moss and the Granny Smith are crucial elements here as well, because even in this you do get that green apple note and the oak moss present as well. Now, what happens because of that is you get a pineapple which is more like a scratchy kind of a pineapple, where the pineapple has actually got a lot of mossy element going across, and that's coming from the moss, oak moss that's there on this particular fragrance, plus the green apple that is there, right? So that's right at the top that you get. After which, this particular fragrance, in my opinion, is a very linear fragrance, because on and off, you keep getting this beautiful, sweet, pineapple, oak moss type of a vibe that you get all throughout. Now, there are other elements to this particular fragrance which makes it a little bit nicer, like the inclusion of musk. Okay, and the musk is something that is very nice because you keep getting that musky effect. You do get that projection, you do get that sharpness that's coming from musk all throughout. This particular fragrance also has got a little bit of other elements, like say for example caramel. Okay, now you don't really get a lot of caramel vibe, or you don't actually get a vanilla type of a vibe on this particular fragrance at all. Now the other elements that are there is ambergris. Of course you have cedar wood, you also have I think a little bit of a driftwood kind of a note. So there is a woody nature to this particular fragrance which brings a woody vibe, but not so much. Again, the ambergris plays a very good role here to give you that to give you that kind of a musky kind of an effect, which is very, very nicely done. Okay, now this particular fragrance in my opinion is definitely a compliment magnet because of the way in which this particular fragrance kind of comes into the air. Okay, in the air, because of that slight sugary cotton candy vibe and that pineapple and the oak moss that's there, it's a more of a fresh, fruity, sweet kind of a fragrance that's definitely going to get a lot of attention and definitely going to get a lot of compliments. And there is another element of it which also makes this particular fragrance very, very nice, and that we will talk about in a minute. But overall, I felt this was a very well done kind of a fragrance, and this is actually done by a perfumer called as Gail Montero, who has actually worked on a lot of other fragrances like Maison Crevilli's fragrances and others as well. So he has done something, he's tried to do something new. But like I said, because we live in a world where every inspiration of a, tropical fruit, pineapple based fragrance is assumed to be a Creed Aventus DNA, we kind of, become a closed booked, viewer or a subscriber at this point of time, or as an enthusiast, we think only about this particular thing. Now, the other element that you will actually find very relevant to this particular fragrance is the resemblance to Qaid Al Farsan. Now, we have it in decants. Qaid Al Farsan we have had for some time. We do have this also in decant. So, in case you want to explore getting this particular fragrance, you can definitely do so. Now, Qaid Al Farsan also, for example, has a similar type of an opening where there is pineapple but there is oak moss too. Okay, it has the same scratchy kind of an opening that you get and not the smooth type of opening that Creed Aventus actually has. Okay, now because of which people kind of think that Rebel is a version, amped up version or a better version of Qaid Al Farsan. I would say not really, because Qaid Al Farsan kind of starts there and ends there itself, but this actually has got a lot more depth. Okay, now this actually kind of feels very premium. It kind of actually feels a party type of a fragrance. In fact, I think Afnan has gone ahead and launched this in particularly because they wanted a fragrance that could probably last all throughout the year, a fragrance that could be like Armaf's Club de Nuit Intense, which is like all year across fragrance. This is also the case with this. So I believe that this can be worn through summers, through everyday, through parties, through date nights, through casual wear, everywhere across you can wear, and you should not have a problem, because most of the time people appreciate a sweet fragrance, people appreciate a fruity type of fragrance and a musky kind of a fragrance, which is not going to annoy anybody. Now the only thing is, the con of it, I felt like this can make you nose blind because it is so strong with the ambergris and the oak moss on this particular fragrance. You will feel nose blinded at times and you might not actually smell the fragrance. But every time you move across, every time you walk across or you get a whiff of your clothes, you will definitely get this particular fragrance smelling on you. So that is really, really nice. Now, the other part that I was telling you, something very nice about this is the performance. Okay, now even if you do just 2 sprays of this, you will have it for a long time. You will be able to smell. But if you do a full spray of 10 to 12 sprays, you will be buzzing for a really long time. This easily does about 7-8 hours of performance easy. So the first 45 minutes to 1 hour is where this particular fragrance really kicks up. In fact, I would say it goes even beyond 1 hour to 1.5 hours as well. You can actually feel it projecting pretty nicely. The cotton candy vibe that I was talking to you about, that goes off in the first 5-10 minutes time. You don't get that much longer. But the pineapple with the oak moss itself, with a little bit of that fruity apple tone, that remains for throughout, and you actually don't get a very great dry down, so to say. I kind of get a very linear fragrance, like I said earlier, and that lasts for a whole 7 to 8 hours. I would say it can even go beyond that. So for a summer, this particular fragrance would be wonderful, because even if you get 5-6 hours in summers, this will be wonderful because you will get a lot of freshness. You will get that juicy element. You will get a nice pineapple, oak moss, green kind of a vibe, which is very nice. For me, somehow, I have not been able to get a lot of that toffee, caramel kind of a vibe. The woody dry down also is a lot lesser. But yes, this is a fragrance that sits very well, defined between a sweet bubblegummy kind of a fragrance versus a very nice fruity, oak moss heavy kind of a fragrance. And I kind of liked the way they have done this particular fragrance. So yes, who can wear it? I would say there is no age gap for this particular fragrance. Anybody can wear it comfortably. Any age group, college going kids, party, unisex, girls, anybody can pull this off, not a problem at all. And the best part about it is because the performance is pretty decent, 7 to 8 hours, which is actually pretty good. You will kind of use this particular fragrance fully, I feel, in this particular summer. So is it a Baccarat Creed Aventus mix? Not exactly. Okay, it has nuances of Baccarat Rouge in the opening. It has nuances of a pineapple and oak moss, because that is also present in Creed Aventus. So that vibe is also definitely there. So it has nuances of that, but I still feel this was looked at as a very creative new project. But probably because, like I said, we live in a world where everything inspired from a pineapple is like a Creed Aventus DNA. So we are looking at this particular fragrance as one of that. But is it a good buy? Definitely is. If you have Qaid Al Farsan, you can still buy it because this has got a lot more depth. If you have Creed Aventus, should you buy it? Yes, you can still buy it because it still brings a fresh take on it. There is slight changes to the DNA, as I said. So it is going to be that. But you can layer it with Creed Aventus very well. So that would give you a slightly different kind of a vibe. So overall, I feel this was a fantastic release from the house of Afnan, and we have more fragrances coming from them. So I think we are going to be rocking 2025 with a lot of new fragrances, right? So if you kind of like this particular video, definitely hit the like button, subscribe and share. And yes, most importantly, this particular fragrance is available for less than 2,500 rupees right now. So it featured around 3,000 plus, now it's about 2,500. So for that particular price tag, this is a complete paisa vasool, and you should definitely try this.